Hello, and welcome to another Rush Generations Health Education Lecture. Rush Generations and our staff is delighted to be your source of information, resources, and health promotion programs that help maximize your well-being and good health as you age. Today is Wednesday, June 4th, and I'm Franco Samataro. I'll be your moderator for today's lecture, Aging with Pride. Before I present to you the wonderful speakers joining us today, I'd like to first thank Hannah Weinsman for helping with the production of this lecture, helping us manage the chat and other key aspects so that we can all have a great discussion about what does it mean to age with pride. Today, we are joined by Rush provider and community partners as we explore the unique health and wellness needs of the LGBTQ plus older adults. In this discussion, we'll cover topics such as accessing and affirming healthcare, housing, resources, as well as innovative strategies for strengthening community support. As always, we're live streaming this lecture via our YouTube channel using the video platform Zoom, which allows us to host a good number of people who join us via phone. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you on YouTube, we ask that you please use the chat function to ask questions and or to add to the discussion throughout this lecture. We will make sure your comments and questions make it to the presenters. And for those of you listening to the discussion via phone, you will have an opportunity at the end of the presentation to unmute your audio and so you can ask your questions. We'd also like to remind you that all the information offered here is for general informational purposes only, and to always seek additional professional advice for situations specific to your needs. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists for today. First, I'd like to introduce Nina Orlowski. Nina is the Aging with Pride Program Specialist at Age Options, the area agency on aging for the suburban Cook County, Illinois. There she develops Thrive with Pride programming for the LGBTQ plus older adults and those who care for them, coordinates with and supports local Thrive Cafe partners, and advocates for other internal and external LGBTQ plus initiatives. She has previous experience working with LGBTQ-friendly low-income senior housing and acute inpatient rehab. Nina holds her bachelor's and master's degrees in social work from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and is a licensed clinical social worker. Welcome, Nina. Our next presenter is Dr. Edward Cerullo. Dr. Cerullo joined Rush from Case Western University and University Hospitals in Cleveland. He served there as the Urology Vice Chair of Clinical Operations in the Department of Urology from 2010 to 14, Interim Department Chair from 2013 to 14, and Urology Residency Program Director from 2008 to 2017. Dr. Cerullo received his medical degree from the St. Louis University School of Medicine and completed his residency at Cleveland Clinic Foundation Glickman Urological Institute. That's a mouthful. Dr. Cerullo specializes in reconstructive surgery for complex urological conditions. His accolades include being named several years running as Best Doctor in America, a two-time recipient of the Martin I. Resnick MD Teaching Award, University Hospitals Case Medical Center, and the Cleveland Clinic Foundation Bruce Hubbard Stewart Award recognition for compassion and humane care of patients. Our next presenter, Eric Eugenio Virne, is the Executive Director of West Suburban Senior Services in Bellwood. Eric is a licensed clinical social worker, certified and a certified dementia practitioner. With over 14 years of experience in the field of aging, Eric was instrumental in creating programming for the LGBTQ plus older adults at West Suburban, which helped blaze a trail for other aging service providers. An Indiana native, Eric has lived in Illinois with his husband, Christian, for 17 years. Welcome you all. And now, without further ado, I'd like to kick it off to our first presenter, Dr. Cerullo, to get us going on our first presentation. Dr. Cerullo.
Hi, thanks so much, Franco, and thanks so much to this team for giving me the opportunity to participate and pass on a little bit of information and offer the services that we have at Rush or that can be found elsewhere in your communities, but that you should be aware of. So what I'm going to talk today a little bit is a high-level overview on what Aging with Pride for patients that might be transgender or in that space that gets a little gray on the edges, um, for care that's specific to them to optimize their life and their livelihood and the quality of their life. So we can go to the next slide. So, as a high overview, everybody, whether you're trans or cis, needs to be seeing a physician regularly, getting blood sugar screens, make sure you get your colonoscopy. If you're a smoker, there's guidelines surrounding screening chest CT. So these are all extremely important things. So I'd encourage everyone on this call or listening to this presentation to make sure that they're getting those annual evaluations across the board that might be independent of how you identify in a trans or cis space. With specifics to the trans space, long-term hormone therapy, whether you're removing hormones or adding hormones, can have effects on folks. So trans women have estrogen added and testosterone removed, and trans men the opposite. Patients suffer with pelvic floor voiding dysfunction related to surgery or how they identify as relates to their bottom sexuality. And then an important consideration is prostate health in the transgender population, those assigned male at birth, but identify as female that may be on hormonal therapy specific to prostate cancer screening and lower urinary tract symptoms or benign prostatic growth. So you can go to the next slide. So the big hormones, right? There's a lot of players in the hormone space, but the big ones are estrogen and testosterone. Both estrogen and testosterone have an impact on bone health, mineral density, and risk of osteoporosis. Withdrawal of estrogen without adding testosterone can put someone at risk for early stage osteoporosis or osteopenia. There's risk of cardiovascular events. It used to be thought that estrogen itself was a risk factor for DVTs or cardiovascular issues. Seems now with more recent research, it might actually be protective. And in our trans male population, or excuse me, trans female population who still have prostatic tissue, there's atrophy to that tissue, but the urinary flow and frequency may not be positively affected by adding estrogen. There might be decreased obstructive symptoms, meaning the prostate's not big enough to block the urine, but relative to the pelvic floor relaxing to empty the bladder, there can still be the sensation of incomplete bladder emptying or needing to run to the bathroom. Opposite side, testosterone, kind of the muscle hormone. It's not really clear what that does to cardiovascular risk. It is protective of both maintaining muscle mass and bone density. It can result in increased bad cholesterol or LDLs if you're not exercising regularly. And then in our trans male population that haven't undergone bottom surgery, there's pretty substantial pelvic tissue atrophy, which can cause a significant amount of irritation and pelvic pain in the trans man who still has, um, uh, vagina, labia, etc. So we can go to the next slide. So pelvic floor dysfunction. This is a huge issue in our trans population. Whether you're a trans woman, trans man, or work with the community to support them, pelvic floor dysfunction presents as pain. It presents as difficulty urinating. It presents as running to the bathroom. Presents as sexual dysfunction, dryness, irritation, constipation. The incidence is pretty high, almost 95%, even in patients on hormonal therapy. You really need a multidisciplinary group approach, including possibly your GI doctor, colorectal surgeon, urologist, physical therapy. We have an outstanding program here at Rush for pelvic floor tightness. I don't want to say the word dysfunction, but inability to relax those muscles. And as we all know, pelvic obstructive symptoms can be pretty devastating if they're not navigated well. So we can go ahead to the next slide. So prostate health, if there's a take-home message I want our trans women to take away here, is that you still need regular prostate cancer screening. We have a mounting amount of evidence, a mounting degree of evidence that patients who were assigned male at birth and have an ongoing prostate, even if you've undergone bottom surgery, are still at risk for prostate cancer, and it's suspicious that if you are going to develop a prostate cancer, it may be more aggressive than your cis counterparts. It's not really clear why that is. It's hormonally based. Overall, there may be a less risk of prostate cancer, but if you're going to get it, it can be pretty aggressive and present advanced. So really important to talk to your primary care doc, your gender specialist team, and a urologist if you have one about how to interpret those levels. The prostate is not removed in standard bottom surgery for our trans female population. So please take that home. You can do your own research. I'm available to you as a resource going forward, but this is very important as it's a cancer specific issue. So you can go ahead to the next slide. So that's all I really have. I want to leave you with there are a lot of other issues in our trans space as we get older. Certainly, quality of sexual interaction is extremely important. The best thing you can do for yourselves and your families that are in this space while you're supporting them is get regular exercise, resistance training, great sleep, not a lot of booze, which ruins sleep and everything else. Um, Manage your weight, blood sugar, blood pressure, but also know that there are some specific issues that merit addressing, and you need a trans-friendly space to have those conversations. So honored to have been here to give this little presentation. I'm going to stick around till the end to field any questions you have as dialed in as they might be. So thanks again for the opportunity to this team.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nina Orlowski. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Aging with Pride program specialist at Age Options, which is the Area Agency on Aging, or AAA, for suburban Cook County. Since 1974, we just hit our 50 years in 2024. We serve a diverse population of well over 500,000 older adults across 130 communities that's broken down into 30 townships. What do? We advocate, plan, coordinate, and fund services for older adults 60 and up and those who care for them. Together with a network of community-based senior service organizations, we connect older adults to resources and services that allow them to live their lives to the fullest while remaining in their homes and communities for as long as they are able. Some of these vital services include information and assistance, benefits access, community dining programs, as well as home delivered meals, caregiver support, housekeeping help, and the list goes on. But Age Options' vision is simple: people thriving as they age. So you can learn more about Age Options and all we do at ageoptions.org. Next slide. So as such, with that vision in mind, we developed a program called Thrive with Pride by Age Options. This is our inclusive program for LGBT plus older adults and those who care for them. We organize social and informational events that connect this community and those who care for them to the aging network of services and resources that I just mentioned in order to increase social connectedness and improve overall well-being. For those calling in, there's an image of our logo here, as well as a couple of friends chatting over some coffee. But a little bit of history. Thrive with Pride began back in 2019, just before the pandemic. And the idea came out of existing literature and was later backed by Age Options Community Needs Assessment, highlighting the importance of safe spaces and trusted hubs of information for LGBT older adults and caregivers. So we sort of based the model we developed off of a couple of existing programs like memory cafes, so stigma-free social settings, and also the ways in which we work with affirming faith communities was borrowed from our Caring Together Living Better program. So each of those sort of informing the other in a new model to serve this community. Initial funding came from Community Memorial Foundation that enabled Age Options to hire staff like myself and provide small stipends to some of our community-based partners. In a western suburb focus area was CMS area at that time. We were intending for this to be fully in person, but with COVID, we pivoted virtual and are still coming back from that these days, existing in a variety of formats, which I'll go over in a minute. But over time, we've got some other grant funding through Chicago Community Trust and then American Rescue Plan Act funding during COVID. Now we're using Older Americans Act funding as well as unrestricted dollars, just for those who are curious about how we fund the program. But together with our community-based partners, we're working to build a more inclusive aging network for suburban Chicagoland. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our program design. It's sort of two-pronged. Age Options or myself hosts online informational events where we feature speakers on various aging and LGBT plus topics of interest to our participants, followed by Q&A and discussion. Then we provide our funded partners, which I'll review, those event recordings and discussion guides so that they can facilitate their own follow-up events. So the picture here is a screenshot from last month's presentation with the former IDOA director, Paula Basta, in her new role at the Illinois Assistive Technology Program. The second prong of the program are those cafe partners I mentioned. We ask them to meet once a month to continue providing safe and welcoming space for LGBT older adults and caregivers to congregate and learn more about the local resources in whatever format works best for their participants. So in person, hybrid, or virtual. Typically, our events are on the fourth Tuesday of the month, though not always. They are free and open to the public, though content is geared towards the LGBT plus community and those who care for them. And we try to, whenever possible, record our sessions, just the presentation portion, not introductions or discussion, so that we can maintain an archive of all that information for folks who are not able to join us or for reference later on. And again, also for our partners to use at their cafes. You can learn more about Thrive with Pride at thrivingwithpride.org. And the last picture there, is a photo of some of the participants at Eric's group, you'll hear from a little later, doing a hybrid session. Next slide, please. So I've mentioned Thrive Cafe Partners a couple times. So those are the community-based organizations and affirming faith partners that we work with to help kind of broaden the scope of inclusive and accessible aging services in suburban Cook County. For fiscal year 2025, we're currently working with West Suburban Senior Center in Bellwood, Holy Covenant MCC in Brookfield, and Pillar of Love Fellowship UCC in Summit. So the image there, just some points on a map of where those are located in the western suburbs. And then we also have a widespread community of collaborators and allies who not only help us publicize, but often attend our events or make contributions as collaborators, as presenters. Beyond that, we're currently not in a position to bring on additional formally funded partners, but we are always looking for opportunities to build our network of collaborators, those that want to support Age Options work, and also find out how we can support other programs going on, not only just in suburban Cook, but into Chicago and neighboring AAA or Area Agency on Aging regions that surround suburban Cook. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of fun here. Last year we started doing some intergenerational events. So there's 4 different photos from our most recent trivia night that we had at West Suburban Senior Center. A group shot, some folks laughing, some folks thinking really hard about one of the questions, and some of our staff volunteers. These intergenerational events are a byproduct of some of the successful virtual SAGE tables that were hosted by my predecessor during the pandemic, and also inspired by a lot of other great intergenerational work that's happening in Chicagoland, such as the Intergenerational Dialogue Project, basically trying to create intentional opportunities for LGBT older adults and younger adults to connect over a meal, over conversation, or with the trivia, just creating collective joy by doing an activity together. So these are those photos. I have another link to some additional photos, perhaps that can be shared out afterwards, along with, next slide, our next event. So we invite you and yours to Friends of Thrive. This is our Pride Month event we're hosting next Friday, June 13th at Levy Senior Center in Evanston. So we're calling on all past, present, and future Thrive with Pride program participants, partners, presenters, collaborators, anyone in the community, and allies to join us in celebrating the history of our program. Like I said, we've been going since about 2020. So we're going on 5 years, and try to envision what the future of the program will look like with our community's insight and support. So it should be a great time. We'll have music, food, resource sharing, mocktails, and I think this flyer will get shared out with you all afterwards as well. You can visit our website to learn a little bit more or scan the QR code. Next slide. And last but not least, a newer initiative we're about to pilot is Aging Network training. So when I'm saying Aging Network, that's the collection of agencies that Age Options helps fund to do some of the sports and services that I mentioned way at the beginning. We have asked those, or actually required those organizations in this current 3-year grant period to participate in LGBT training as part of our standards to make the network more inclusive and accessible to our community. So training for leadership, staff, and volunteers, including key terms and affirming language, acute issues facing LGBT older adults, and best practices and ideas to put into action, including all those, also things like collecting sexual orientation and gender identity data, or SOGI data, and how to implement some of these practices to be more inclusive. So beyond that, like I said, we're going to start piloting that in the next couple months here with some of our funded aging and disability resource network centers and caregiver resource centers, and then taking that feedback we gain to roll out more fully come next fiscal year. So stay tuned for updates from that. Next slide. I think that might round it out for me. Thank you so much to Rush for having me, for the other presenters. Great to be here with you. If you have questions, there's my contact information, our website, and our logos. I'll pass it back to Rush, or perhaps to Eric to go next.
Thank you, Nina. And I just want to thank also Franco and Hannah and Rush for inviting me here today. As mentioned, my name is Eric Eugenio Veronese. I'm the Executive Director at West Suburban Senior Services. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the LGBT plus program at West Suburban. Here you see a photo of our Pride celebration last year, where participants in our senior center and our LGBT plus program joined together for a wonderful Pride celebration here at West Suburban. And I love this photo, so I wanted to lead off with that. Next slide, please. Just a little bit about us at West Suburban. We are at 439 Bolin Avenue in Bellwood in Proviso Township, Cook County. You see a photo of our building here. We've been proudly flying the Pride flag for several years, and are proud of the fact that we have been offering LGBT plus program for over a decade here at West Suburban. Next slide, please. So a little bit about us. West Suburban has been providing community-based services for older adults in the western suburbs since 1973. And in January of 2019, West Suburban became a part of Chicago Methodist Senior Services, which we refer to as CMSS. It's a non-sectarian, non-profit organization providing an array of programs, services, and residences committed to empowering each person that we serve to live their best life while embracing the needs of a diverse and evolving community. And here you see a photo from our Black History Month celebration recently. Next slide, please. So West Suburban is in the heart of Proviso Township. So a little bit about more of the programs that we offer. We provide a no-cost daily programming for older adults, including a nutritious hot lunch in partnership with Community Nutrition Network. We have health and fitness classes, educational and arts programming, a free legal clinic in collaboration with the Center for Disability and Elder Law. We have town halls with community leaders and advocates and more. We're proud that we connect older adults with resources and needed guidance via phone or in person. And our critical programs and services allow seniors living in the western suburbs to remain engaged, informed, independent, and thriving. Here you see a photo of an awning, a new awning that we recently put up in our facility here in Bellwood. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, we've had a LGBT plus program here at West Suburban for a number of years. So just a little bit of background on how that all came about. We actually started what we called at the time the LGBT plus seniors program in 2012. And so at that time, there wasn't a lot of programming going on in the western suburbs for LGBT older adults. And I was actually just started at West Suburban at that time, and it came to me that there was a need for, programming specific to LGBT older adults. And so I actually looked around and found some LGBT older adults who were interested in starting the program with me. And so in that 2012, we started that LGBT plus seniors program. And shortly after that, we became an affiliate of SAGE, which is a national organization advocating for LGBT older adults. And we were only the second SAGE affiliate in Illinois after the Center on Halstead at that time. SAGE currently no longer uses that affiliate model, and so we are now a part of what they call SAGE Collab. And I would encourage folks to check out SAGE Collab. They do offer like monthly informative meetings about working with LGBT older adults and have a wealth of resources and knowledge there at SAGE. So also in 2020, which I think Nina said it actually started in 2019, so I think I got that date wrong. Our program became a part of the Age Options Thrive with Pride program. So we were one of the first cafes when the program started. And as Nina mentioned, it evolved quickly after the pandemic hit. And so some of our best laid plans that we had started out with changed, but we did adapt and moved to a virtual format for a while. And now we are in a hybrid format where we do both virtual and in-person simultaneously. Next slide, please. Here's a flyer for our LGBT plus program that just explains a little bit more about our program and our parent organization, Chicago Methodist Senior Services. So basically, our LGBT plus program serves LGBT plus older adults and allies in the western suburbs. And our dedicated and caring team works to meet the needs of LGBT plus and allied communities through outreach and programming delivered with knowledge, sensitivity, and pride. It is typically no cost programming held here at our senior center. Next slide, please. Just to break down a little bit of what all we do here with our LGBT plus program. So every Friday, the group gathers for lunch, and then we have a discussion group in that hybrid format that I mentioned. So every Friday at 1 p.m., we're here holding the group, and we typically have we had 17 individuals at our last meeting, but the average is typically between like 10 and 15. We also have an LGBT plus crafters group every Monday, which I'll have some photos a little bit later on to show you of some of the crafting work that they do. And we also have a monthly movie day once a month with typically an LGBT plus themed movie here at the center. And then, of course, we collaborate with Age Options and Nina on the Thrive with Pride Cafe. So Nina holds that monthly large cafe gathering once a month and presents these amazing resources and presentations. And so we're able to kind of piggyback off of that and share those presentations with our participants at our small cafe, which occurs every second Friday of each month. Next slide, please. So here's a little graphic that we created just to advertise our collaboration with Age Options on the Thrive with Pride Cafe. And again, that is 1 o'clock every second Friday of the month when we transform our program into the small cafe and talk about some of the programming that Age Options has released that month. So really the goals of that are combating social isolation among LGBT older adults and caregivers, providing social support and vital information about resources, and of course, providing welcoming services to all regardless of sexual orientation, relationship status, or gender identity. Next slide, please. Here's a few for those calling in. These are just flyers of some of our recent events. Nina also mentioned these. We had a wonderful event on March 29th here at West Suburban Trivia Night, which Nina and Age Options helped create. And it was a great success. We had a great time, and the photos show that, as some of the photos that Nina showed. I also have one coming up that I'll share with you. And then, of course, she mentioned Paula Basta was recently a presenter. Paula is a board member of Chicago Methodist Senior Services, and an amazing person just to take part in these programs, and we love having her. Next slide, please. Just quickly talking a little bit about the needs of LGBT plus older adults. Surveys consistently do show that LGBT plus older adults are more likely to live alone compared to their straight and cisgender peers. Recent AARP Dignity 2022 survey found that 25% of LGBT plus older adults age 65 plus lived alone compared to 15% of their straight or cisgender peers. So this increased likelihood of living alone can contribute to higher rates of social isolation and loneliness. Systemic discrimination also creates an environment where many LGBT plus individuals are unsure if it is safe to come out to those around them, and the stress associated with environmental uncertainty leads to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and substance use disorder among LGBT older adults. Next slide, please. So to combat that lack of familial support and social isolation, our LGBT plus program provides a beacon of culturally literate supportive programming, including that weekly hybrid discussion group, where members can connect with one another and connect with appropriate aging services they may otherwise fear accessing, including direct access to staff and resources at Age Options through that Thrive with Pride Cafe collaboration. Next slide, please. Just briefly share with you some survey results from our participants of how the program impacts them. So 92% of our LGBT plus program participants report that they strongly agree that the West Suburban LGBT plus program is a resource they trust for knowledge about programs and services available for older adults. 100% report that they strongly agree that the program creates a welcoming and affirming space for LGBT plus older adults. 92% report to us that the weekly LGBT plus discussion group helps them stay connected with other older adults and reduces feelings of isolation. And interestingly here, for some of you who work in mainstream aging service providers, 60% strongly agree, 30% agree, and 10% are neutral. That is important to them. The aging service providers offers programs specifically for LGBT plus older adults. So you can see there 90% almost are looking for something specifically offered for LGBT plus older adults. Next slide, please. Here's just a few more photos from that Pride celebration last year in our senior center. We did have live music going on, lots of great food and camaraderie. So just wanted to share a couple of photos there. Next slide, please. This is one of my favorite photos. Here, this is a photo of the 84th birthday of one of our founding participants, David Gore, who has been with us since the beginning of the program. And so we had a joyous day celebrating his 84th birthday recently. Next slide, please. And I mentioned that we do have that crafting group. And so here's just a few photos of some of their wares that they have been creating. And we do occasionally have times when they sell them and donate the proceeds to our organization. So that's a bonus. We see here, we went through an origami. We have a participant who is very skilled at origami, and he was teaching a lot of us how to make origami cranes. So you see, we went through quite an origami crane phase for a while there. Next slide, please. This is just a photo. We had a wonderful Pride party 2 years ago outside on our patio, and you can see Nina as well as several others joined us, and we had a great time. And just want to say another plug for something I didn't get the flyer into this presentation in time, but we do have another Pride Month celebration coming up on Friday, June 27th here at the center. So it'll be more live music, fun and music, so and food. So if you are interested, my contact information is at the end of the presentation. I will try to also send a flyer to Hannah and Rush after this. Next slide, please. There's a wonderful photo from that trivia event that we had in March with Nina, as well as Reverend Martha Daniels of Holy Covenant, who has been a participant of our LGBT program over the years and also runs her own LGBT Thrive with Pride Cafe. Next slide, please. This is a similar photo to Nina shared. This was shows the happy faces on that day of the LGBT plus intergenerational trivia event that we had. Nina and I had a good time decorating the room that day, and it all turned out very nicely. So I just wanted to share that photo. Next slide, please. And this is my contact information. You've got my email there. You've got a link to the CMSS Chicago Methodist website where there's more information about us, as well as also the social media for CMSS where you can learn more about us. Feel free to reach out and learn more about our program, and I'll try to share upcoming events with Hannah and Rush as well. So I really appreciate being here. Thank you. That concludes my portion of the program.
Thank you so much to all of you, Eric, Nina, and Dr. Chirullo. Please join us. You feel free to turn your cameras back on. We're about to begin our Q&A portion of this lecture. For those of you joining us via phone, if you have any questions, feel free to hit *6 to unmute yourself. I have just a huge smile on my face from just hearing all the wonderful programming, both through H Options and through your organization, Eric, that's happening in the suburban area as well. I always think of Chicagoland, and sometimes being a city person, just forget that there's so much outside of that boundary. So thank you for bringing that to light. I think Aging with Pride for me is just a great mindset of movement that shows that the LGBTQ older adults should be treated with dignity, which means being respected and affirmed for their identity, visibility, being acknowledged and counted in policy, research, and care settings, support, access to inclusive services, resources, and community, and celebration, honoring our unique life journeys and contributions to LGBTQ plus history and rights. And I think you all have done such a great representation of that today here, sharing what how your contributions continue to move that needle forward or in our community. So thank you so much for that. At this time, again, for any of you joining us on our YouTube channel or here on our Zoom call, feel free to, if you're on our Zoom, hit *6 to unmute yourself. Hannah will be passing over questions from YouTube. And the first one that came is for you, Dr. Chirullo. You're listed on Rush as a provider and the provider page as a specialist for gender affirming care. Can you speak more about what that means?
Sure. So, we have a lot of representation here on this presentation from Rush proper. Rush has a program for gender affirming care across the spectrum under the label of the Affirm program. So I'm a member of that. I provide urologic care to both trans men and women. I assist our plastic surgery program in performing gender affirming surgery. What we do specifically up here in urology that's different than the plastic surgery portion is that we talk about fertility issues in our trans women population and what that looks like. We talk about what hormone stoppage does to allow for spermatogenesis and storage of those sperm for biologic children of our gender affirmed patient population. And then I serve as a resource. I'm not always the first point of contact, but I'm happy to be. Sometimes it's for some minor bottom surgery along the way. But most of our patients access through our Affirm Center, which is pretty well staffed to navigate the needs of our patients. So if I'm your first stop, happy to have any and all conversations about your needs. And then there's a percentage of patients that I refer on because of the specifics regarding gender affirming care and how that's a multidisciplinary program, and there are needs to get the operations and the care paid for through insurance vehicles and others. So we have a nice program here. So that's a high level of what my role is.
Thank you so much. And for those that do want to find you specifically, what's your email so that we can, again, refer folks
No trouble.
to?
Edward _ Chirullo. So that's my name, CHERULLO at rush.edu.
And for those of you joining us today, or in the future, again, this lecture will be housed in our YouTube channel library, so you'll be able to recount to these resources at any time and be able to reach out to the providers that are with us on this lecture today. You mentioned the importance of screening. Specifically, you spoke today about our trans community and the importance of continuing traditional prostate screenings. I know the importance of that now, being in my 40s and having a loved one gone through early stage prostate cancer. Some of the stigma that comes along with that, but specifically for the trans community, if somebody who might not have access or is afraid of reaching out, what resources do you recommend outside, maybe through Rush, outside of Rush, that you know could be a resource for that community that is at risk?
Well, that's a great question. I may not be the best person to answer it, but what I can tell you is certainly our Department of Urology, myself specifically, but our entire team has undergone gender identity sensitivity instruction and engagement to make it as warm and comfortable an environment as possible. I'm not too scary a guy, I don't think. So I
Not at all.
identify pretty
Not
well
at all.
with our chance patients. We have a great rapport and a lot of laughs actually most of the time, because there are challenges in the space. So uh, certainly it's a very safe place here in Rush and at Rush Urology. The If you're nervous and you can reach me and you're registered in the Rush system, I'm happy to order some of your screening studies without having seen you. I mean, that's okay with me. I'd rather you get some care and then beat a patient up later for not following up about it than getting no care, right? We have to meet people where they are, and wherever you can take those first steps to get folks screened. I get it. There's a lot of patient populations, even bigger than our trans communities, that are really doctor averse. And we just got to do what we can as a supportive community around all of it to create a space. So if that means I'm ordering PSA tests on a system, not having met the patient specifically, I can live with that. I can own a little bit of that and shoulder a little bit of weight for those folks to get the care. And I want all of our listeners now or in the future to know I will hunt you down if I do that. I'll have your address, but the only way we can do it is if you're registered in the Rush system. Otherwise, I won't be able to generate an order for that test.
Thank you so much. And it is, again, great to hear about just the inclusivity. It's not just about one population over another, but it is great to hear that everybody at Rush as a provider does have that sensitivity training for inclusivity. For folks just who are joining us and don't have a medical background, I know personally PSA levels are what doctors use to determine the hormone level that for prostate cancer screening correctly. Am I correct in that? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, very, very hot topic with our former president and the challenges he's facing with prostate cancer. There's no real raw right value for PSA, the prostate specific antigen, that's going to help guide us in worrying about prostate cancer or not. So what I can say is in a cis population that doesn't have risk factors like African American ancestry or first degree family relative with prostate cancer, we start screening at 45 to 50 after a discussion. And if the number is 2.5 to 4 or over 4, we escalate the discussion about further interventions, whether that's MRI of the prostate or biopsy or both. In people that might be at risk communities, we start screening discussions at age 40. And then in our trans population that may be hormone manipulated, that's going to get tricky. again, I was alluding to in the short presentation that the reduction in testosterone is going to obligatorily reduce the PSA value. It may reduce it to near nothing. And so any sort of PSA value like 2 or 2.5, even in a 55-year-old trans woman, may be concerning because there shouldn't be a predictable value, but that's not going to red flag on a typical screening panel. So I don't want patients to be falsely secure that there's not a problem. That said, that's not necessarily, there are different kinds of prostate cancer. There's more aggressive, there's less aggressive. The big picture take home message is get the screening, get the care, get in with a provider that is sensitive to the space that you feel comfortable with. Because that's what's going to dictate both the longevity, but also the quality of the life you have going forward.
Thank you for that, and thank you for clarifying. Agree. Screening is our best friend, I think, as we move forward for everybody. Great reminder. Nina, this came in, Thrive with Pride events. How does one get involved and find out more about your events?
Yeah, thanks to whoever asked that question. So a good place to start is our website, which is separate from the Age Options website. So we're at thrivingwithpride.org. And you'll see some headings at the top there. One in particular is upcoming and recorded events. So you can see what's on deck for the following months. And then right now we've got another landing page for that special event for Pride called Friends of Thrive. And on that page, there's also a button to click if you want to join our email newsletter list. You can sign up for that as well as Age Options more general newsletter at the same time if you want to get all the updates in one. Those are the main ways, but my contact information as well. Feel free to reach out directly.
Thank you. And again, for folks, Nina was referring to the Friends with Thrive event on June 13th, right? Coming up. And you said thriving.
Thrivingwithpride.org.
Thrivingwithpride.org. Again, if you missed it, this is being recorded and will be housed in our YouTube library for you to reference to at any point to be able to get to these resources at any time. We'd like for you to have that option to obviously visit our partners here today.
Yeah, I would add, the cafe is obviously Eric's here. He can speak to it a little bit too. There's also the Find a Cafe. So that mentions the 3 partners I discussed today and how to connect with them to join their smaller group cafes in a variety of formats. So.
Thank you so much for that. Eric, another question that came up is, in your facility, you mentioned housing. How is that brought up for somebody who identifies as part of the LGBT, and is there specific criteria that has to be met, or is this open to the entire community?
Housing, here at West Suburban, we don't work directly with the housing program. I know our larger organization, Chicago Methodist Senior Services, does work in that space a little bit. So I'd be happy to connect folks directly to the experts in our organization here to learn more. We are at cmsschicago.org, so there is a page on there about the housing resources that are available. Unfortunately, it's not a space that I work in directly, so I don't want to say too much.
No problem. That was probably just something that came up. Great. Are there any other questions coming in from our YouTube? Give me one quick second. Oh, you mentioned 25% of LGBT, which I found myself very interesting, LGBT older adults live on their own compared to the 15% of their straight counterparts. We've done a lot of work with social isolation and trying to combat that in the older adult population. So tell us, like, how is your programming specifically combating this stigma, or not stigma, this plight,
this phenomenon of more folks living alone?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so really people are looking for socialization, right? They're looking to connect with other people and not just be at home alone all the time. And obviously, American society, that seems to be a pandemic of older folks living alone with not a lot of resources, not a lot of family support, and particularly with LGBT older adults who may have more complicated relationships with their families, may not have that familial support that other folks do. So we want to provide, it's sort of like our participants do call it like a second family at times. So, obviously we don't want to, take on the mantle of being fully a family, but that is what it feels like at times because we look out for each other when they're going through an illness. They support each other. We go visit each other in the hospital, send cards. So really it's a way to create those supports and that socialization that may be lacking in their daily lives.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I mean, I call it my chosen family as well. So yeah, I know what you are referring to very well. You mentioned though that there are services like legal and assistance through your organization. Is that again, do you have to be part of your organization in order to access them? How does somebody get in who might have a question about a lease or general questions get involved with something like that?
So we partner with the Center for Disability and Elder Law, CDEL, who come here and do what they call a neighborhood legal clinic once a month. And so folks have to make the appointments directly through CDEL. They do like a screening process of their own and set their own appointments for their legal clinics. So I would be happy to share that information with folks, or you can go, I'm sure the Center for Disability and Elder Law have their own website where you could check out. But you would contact them directly, ask for the neighborhood legal clinic near you, and get an appointment.
Great. And I think at this time that brings us close in on our Q&A portion. Is there any final thoughts from our panelists that we want to get out there to our viewers and listeners?
Only I'm a never-ending advocate for accessing the medical community in a place you feel safe. So I think everyone here is given an amazing number of resources across the spectrum of needs for a very important part of our population, both in America and globally. So please use me as a resource, even if you're not part of the Rush system going forward, to make sure you're accessing care. Pretending something's not happening is not the best way forward.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I would just say thanks again to everyone for having us here and highlighting our programs. Something I forgot to mention, it's great to see everyone virtually, but we love to get out in the community when we can. So if you're in the Oak Park area, we'll be out at Thursday Night Out Pride Night tomorrow night in downtown Oak Park, tabling there, and in the Des Plaines Community Pride this Saturday. I believe that's from 1 to 5. So I know there's a lot of things to choose from, but if you want to see a familiar face in any of those communities, I'll be out there.
Great.
I would just add my thanks as well. Thank you to Rush for doing this and putting this together. These are challenging times in many ways, especially for the LGBT plus community. So I think community and supporting one another in our work is really vital in this moment. So let's keep it up, and thank you.
Couldn't have said it better, Eric. Thank you for that reminder. Again, folks, this is about agency, and I'm very excited by our panel today. So we encourage you all to take charge of your future and your well-being, and access the resources that were talked about today. So I want to thank all you panelists. Feel free to stick around as I talk about our upcoming events, which Hannah will pop up right now for me. Our first workshop is the Wellbeing Series, Creating Balance and Wellness from Within. This workshop is a transformative 6-week program designed to help you tap into your body's innate ability to heal and thrive. Through a blend of mindfulness, acupressure techniques, and the science of habit formation, this series empowers you to take charge of your well-being from the inside out. You'll learn science-backed practices that support your mental, physical, and emotional health, helping you create lasting change and balance in your life. This is a 6-week class. There is a cost of $25 and scholarship opportunities are available for participants with financial limitations. The next workshop will be held in person at Rush campus on Tuesdays starting July 8th and running through August 12th from 1:30 to 3 p.m. on each date. Our next workshop will be that I'm promoting today is Bingo Size. Bingo Size is a 10-week program that combines the game of bingo with fall prevention exercises. Come play bingo, meet new people, and all the while learning about techniques to reduce falls. And registration is strongly suggested as the maximum number of participants is 20. Space is limited, so for more information, please feel free to reach out to us. Our next session will be held in person at the Central West Senior Center on Tuesdays and Thursdays starting July 8th and running through September 11th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You can reach us at 1-800-757-0202 to register. Again, we strongly suggest you register for that workshop as spaces fill up. Next, we'd love to hear from you. Shulman Senior Voices aims to empower older adults and to discuss what matters to them most as they age. It's important to share what matters to you most with your physician and loved ones. Shulman Senior Voices wants to hear from you, so please consider sharing your wisdom on why it is important for your healthcare team and loved ones to know what your goals and wishes are and what matters to you most. At aging.rush.edu/Shulman/collaborate-and-connect, or scan the QR code that you see on the screen to record on a mobile device or smartphone. And lastly, our next lecture is Maintaining Mobility. As always, on Wednesday, June 18th, join us starting at 1 p.m. And we hope to see you at our next lecture. And for any other questions or concerns, don't forget to reach out to us at any moment at Rush Generations at 1-800-757-0202 or our Facebook page at facebook.com/Rush Generations. Again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today, and please stay healthy, and we see you.